Welcome everybody to Midnight with the Fuzz. We got 2 more cards revealed, and wouldn't you know it, looks like Aamon wasn't satisfied with just coming in once. Looks like we got a second incarnation, and I have to say this guy looks more like the one from the campaign. I don't know what that other guy is supposed to be, so if Aamon is somehow capable of shape-shifting or something like that, who knows? But anyways, let's get into it. So first card, Devourer of the World. So it's our first ancient creature, so that's pretty cool. So ancient, as always, means you can just play it as a shrine, and this is actually fairly important because that means it gets sent to your graveyard and you can reanimate it. That's pretty cool. Though realistically, if you're running reanimate, you probably have better things to bring back than this. But it's a neat little gimmick, and if there are ever any more ancient creatures, they will all have this characteristic. So again, ancient is good on anything, but it's even better on creatures because they're just easy reanimate targets. So anyways, what does this bad boy do? It's a 6/6 colorless creature for 5 mana. It better be badass, right? So what is this? It gets -1/1 for each card under it. Basically, if it embodies something, you get to eat every creature and artifact of that cost. Kind of like Dr. Styx, but like on everything on the whole board. And the more things he eats, the weaker he becomes. So theoretically, if he eats 6 things, he will just die. But I don't think you would mind because you just ate 6 enemy things. So what kind of spirits could you consider eating with this guy? Well, if you're running Corruption, there's a few interesting ones. The Angelic Emanation is interesting because it summons a 2/2 spirit that can then summon a 2-cost spirit, then summons a 1-cost spirit. Otherwise, Mesmerizing Spirit is a pretty good card that you can just run. And consider that you don't even have to kill very many things. You could just play this as a 6/6 Swift. That's pretty good. I mean, if you need a burst and you happen to have a Mesmerizing Spirit or some other spirit such as Reincarnation Spirit, that's another good one. Yeah, just drop this guy down for a 6/6 Swift. And that's assuming you actually even want to use it, because like all the other ones, let me get my rating on. Oh, was already there. Like all the other ancient cards, you could just throw this into your... If you have any spirits at all, right? Like, you know, 4 copies of some spirit, you can just throw this in, and if you don't happen to need it, just play it for a shrine, no problem. And if you do happen to use it, you might get a big board clear or just a 6/6 with Swift. That seems good. And given how good I think Corruption might be coming up, given what this other hero has in store for us, yeah, I expect this might be the case. And also, there is one other potentially very interesting spirit that is coming out that is still yet to be revealed. And if it remains the way it is, it's going to make this card even stronger. So I'm going to kind of give it a 4-star rating for now. Because much the same way as I treat Mark of the Gods, where it's a card it's gonna see play somewhere, because the fact that it's ancient means there's very little cost for including it. And if that spirit comes out unchanged, then it will likely be bumped up to 5 stars, because combined with that effect, it's gonna be pretty awesome. So yeah, pretty cool card. Where could you run it? Really, Mana Corruption could throw in 2 copies of this. Especially that new hero, and I'll get to that in a second. But really, anything that runs spirits, anything that runs any amount of spirits could just freely throw in 2 of these guys in, because it is colorless. And what we're starting to see more and more of is decks that run less shrines, but more like these ancient cards, because they can always double as shrines, which is a little dangerous, because the last thing we want in the game is for there to be enough ancient cards where you don't even need shrines, or you just run nothing but ancient cards, because they're just better because they have the ability to be playing this mana, which is actually fascinating. Like, you think, why doesn't every card have this ability, right? Can you imagine if every card in Spellweaver had the ability to be played as ancient? It would solve mana problems permanently. It's actually a fascinating idea. Now, I'm not sure how you would deal with levels, but just for that, it seems like just put this on every creature, man. Of course, the problem is with like reanimate. I mean, if you could just do this with Bezarok, for instance, that would be some bullshit because you wouldn't even have to discard him, just play him. So yeah, I can see why that wouldn't work. But the workaround would be fairly easy, just like banish it or something instead. But anyways, I'm glad to see more cards like this. I'm a little concerned that too many ancient cards are just gonna make like other cards not very good because of their utility. We already have Mark of the Gods being able to be put in almost anything, and now with this guy, if you have any spirits, there could be as many as 6 of these ancient cards that are just there that can serve as shrines or, you know, as removal or as whatever you want it to be. But still, I think it's a cool card. I wonder what other ancient cards there are gonna be. From what the balance team has, I didn't see any other ones, like nothing like this. There's some other themes going on that I won't get into too much, including some color combinations. But as for big ancient creatures, they're possibly in the coming months. I don't know what else they want to do with them. They can't be, again, too powerful because they'll just be auto includes in everything. Like, this is like almost there, if only because there aren't enough good spirits. But I mean, that could very easily change, and this card would just become OP and 5 stars in everything basically. So I expect we'll see this guy. As for draft, well, it's ancient, so you know, it's not that bad, but I wouldn't consider it a high priority pick, just because you're not very likely to actually be able to get a spirit off of it. And stat-wise, it's a 6/6, but it's kind of expensive. So it's a decent pick, but like, if I had to pick between this and Marked by the Gods, I think I pick Marked by the Gods because it's more likely to be useful than this. So 3 stars for a draft, though. You could make an argument for 4, but whatever. It's like epic, right? So you're not even gonna see it very much. Now the other card, whew, we got another hero, right? So Corruption is getting the hookup. So we got the first Aamon, although that you could argue the first Aamon is not necessarily a Corruption hero, because the hero power wants you to run other colors. This one is another variation of that, but a little bit different. So what does this do? It's got an 8-turn cooldown, but it doesn't matter. Basically, you transform into another hero, and you also gain 6 life, and you, just like the other hero, all of the levels become Corruption, so you can become any hero you want, and using your Corruption levels, you can just use their hero power. So basically, think of this: copy the hero power of another hero, and gain 6 life. So is that good? Yeah, it's pretty damn good. I mean, at first glance, I think this is just a straight up upgrade over Advanced Nephiros in Mana Corruption, because Advanced Nephiros is run because the other Corruption heroes just suck for control. But I think this is just better. I mean, 6 life, that's perfectly good. And I'm sure you'll have time to cast this, you know, once you beat off the aggro. Getting 6 extra life could really be good. The way Yidix showed us that with just a little bit of extra life, it can make a big difference against aggro. Having 6 extra life, though, you'd have to pay some mana for it, but still. And the fact that you can pick any hero you want gives you tremendous flexibility. I mean, you could go for basic Darius if you want more card draw. You could go for Advanced Zash for a big board clear, or even Hermelion with the aforementioned Devourer of the World. Just imagine you transform into Hermelion. Next turn, Mesmerizing Spirit, Devourer, double swing for 12 damage, right? So that seems to give Mono C a tremendous amount of flexibility, being able to adapt to any situation and probably change up its build a little bit. I mean, it's still going to be mostly Corruption, but you could add different kinds of cards. And yeah, I love it. I absolutely love this idea. But I'm also worried in that heroes like this are the kinds of heroes that just start overtaking the game the way Yidix did, because it's just good in so many different ways. This guy just makes Mana Corruption so much better, giving you so many options. Need to go control? Take Advanced Despina. Need card draw? You got basic Darius. You need to burst in for some damage, go for advanced Zash, or sorry, advanced Darius, or Hermelion. Or hell, even advanced Neva, or basic Neva for a big Swift. Like, whatever you want. So, okay, I'm just gonna straight up rate this guy at 5 stars. I think it's just, we're gonna see a lot of this guy. Expect to see this in Masters lineups. I think anybody who wants to run Mono C is gonna take a serious look at this hero and probably come up with something better. Certainly a better list than whatever you did with Advanced Nephiros, whose hero power often didn't matter. It mostly played later if you needed to grind out a couple extra Succubi or something. Now, you can still become an Advanced Nephiros if you really want to, but you can just become whatever you want. So, yep, it's gonna be a great hero, and in draft, it could legitimately be useful, you know, because all the corruption heroes in draft just kind of suck. Advanced Nephiros is like, okay. This guy, if you actually go 3 levels, I would easily pick this over Advanced Nephiros, just being able to go into whatever you want. Yeah, that'd be great. Although, whether or not it can overtake Coronis or Burke, yeah, I mean, it's going to be very specific because you got to run double corruption, which is not very common. But if you pick up Sanctum, for instance, that's a good reason to do it. And if you pick up a decent number of corruption cards, that could work. You could expect to see it a little bit, though. Maybe not as much. So, yeah, overall pretty good. Great hero. It's weird that corruption got 2 heroes already. And, you know, you'd think that maybe one of them would be colorless. Though, thankfully, they do have a different flavor where one kind of doesn't want to run corruption cards. Though, the other Aamon is still gonna run cards like Consume and Word of Pain because it's a corruption-only deck. It's just that it's gonna be able to splash in, like, other kinds of creatures into it if it wants to. Whereas this is just gonna be a more traditional Mono C with a lot of flexibility, for instance, right? So, looking forward to using this in a variety of decks. Definitely Mono C. Definitely look out for that. And it might become the next Yiddix. It's going to be just auto-ban. If you don't like Mono C, just ban this guy as soon as you see his face. Because I'm trying to think of any other ways to use him. But it seems like Mono C would just be the easiest. I was trying to see if Shamans could maybe take advantage of this. And possibly, but Shamans generally tend to go double red for Advanced Zash because that's just more useful. The 6 life is nice, but if you're fighting against aggro, you want to spend your mana, like, killing their stuff. Though it could work in Shamans, too. I think it's definitely worth a try. And I'm sure one of you enterprising players who likes Shamans will come up with this. It could even work in Demons, but there may be an entirely different Demons archetype, depending on... There's one other card that might come out, depending on what it looks like, that'll actually seriously change how demons are played. That's all I'm gonna say. And you know, after a little bit of testing, I thought, whoa, that was something else. So we'll see if Aamon heralds the coming of demons. It's definitely heralding an era of corruption. So I'm hoping that there's gonna be some counterbalance on the other side, or maybe on the good guys, to give them like something better to work with. It almost feels like the Trigon, where, well, no, Trigon just made all good aspects really good because it lets you splash them freely. This makes corruption specifically a lot better, so I don't know. I don't know if there's going to be, because there's only 5 corruption heroes. Are there going to be 5 heroes for every aspect? That seems like a lot. I'm not sure what the idea is. And, you know, whether the devs are okay with there being different numbers of heroes, because we already have 4 order heroes, for instance, and, well, that's because Advanced Alexa, you could argue, is not even really a hero, and, you know, you could just delete her from the game, and I don't think anybody would even notice, and, like, yeah, that's cool, we don't need her, just throw her out. So, yeah, that's it for these reveals. So far, all the cards we've seen are pretty interesting, and there's more to look forward to. You know, already of what we've seen, we're gonna see something new between these 2 guys and the other Aamon, and the crab maybe, but there's gonna be some changes. And interestingly, pretty much every card that's been revealed is aimed at not aggro. That's good. You know, these are open control cards mostly. You could maybe say the crab is kind of mid-rangey. Yeah, that's fair, but nothing aggro. I'm happy to see that. You know, Rage Rush is not very fun to play against. I'm willing to give Soldiers a bit of a pass because that's a bit more mid-rangey, but ugh. So maybe the Devourer of Worlds is going to set these guys straight, although I think it's a bit slow because it is 5 mana. Even if you manage to embody it, it's still like a turn 6 or something like that, assuming you get to keep a Spirit. But if you do, it's pretty good. Also, Devourer could be really strong against Shamans because it can kill some of their totems. It can kill several totems at once. That could be devastating, honestly. So expect to see both of these cards. And I'll see you guys in the next review. Cheers.